Hello again, we're back with another flight review. Today, I'll be flying from Jakarta to Singapore with Singapore Airlines. This would be the first leg of my returning journey back to Sydney. I arrived at the airport wearing a face mask because there were many people coming in Jakarta that day. As usual, these two luggage are my companions for today. And here we are. This is the Terminal 3 of Soekarno-Hatta International Airport of Jakarta. Once you enter inside, you can find the information board right away. Most international carriers fly through Terminal 3. For Singapore Airlines, the check-in counters are located in Section C, from C14 to C25, which is a very close walk if you enter from entrance door number 3. Now currently the terminal is undergoing major interior updates, so there was a lot of construction stuff going on. As you can see here, all the check-in counters have no display and they just put the printed logo. Now Singapore Airlines has a lot of check-in counters in Jakarta, including some self-check-in machines at the front. Now I arrived at the airport about 3 hours before check-in, but luckily Singapore Airlines allows check-in 24 hours before departure time. And if you have check-in online, there's a line provided for you to just drop your bag. And of course, I'm flying economy today. Luckily, there's no line yet. I only have one check bag for today and one carry-on to bring with me in the cabin. Now I got the tag ready to go. There's always an information board to look for direction if you get lost, or you can simply follow the sign direction. The International Departure Gate is located at the very end of the building, to the left from the entrance, or to be short, just next to aisles A. Now, if you've noticed, there's something different with the design of Terminal 3. The renovation will add more green trees and vegetation elements to the airport. I personally like this design as it gives so much natural vibe and sense of refresh. The Garuda Indonesia's check-in counters are the first ones to be finished, and this is how it looks they will go for. Once you've reached the end, simply walk ahead until you see the International Departure entrance. I saw a lot of people taking pictures with their friends and loved ones before saying goodbye. Once you're ready, just step inside for immigration and security check. Of course, no cameras are allowed in this area. Once you have cleared immigration, you will then take the elevator down to the waiting terminal. Look at that gorgeous Garuda's 777 parked over there. Simply follow the direction for your gate, and I gotta say it's quite a walk, but luckily my gate is not far. But since I still have plenty of time, I decided to just stroll around the terminal. I then found the lazy lounge seat and decided to get some rest. Now you know why I choose this spot. Take a look at the view. Now this is not my plane. Singapore Airlines is one of the major international carriers at Jakarta Airport. They serve the Singapore-Jakarta route multiple times in a day, alternating between their A350 and Boeing 777. My flight is SQ963 with a departure time at 6 p.m. My plane landed around 5 p.m. in the afternoon. There are so many Singapore Airlines flights to Jakarta that every time one flight departs, another one arrives or soon will arrive between the two cities, and all the wide-body services mostly using their long-haul configuration. This is our ride today, an A350-900 with registration number 9 Victor Sierra Double Mike. This would be my first flight flying an A350. I'm so excited to try it. I must say, I love the cockpit and the nose design of A350. Just as our plane arrived, the other 777 flight departed. I was planned to be on that flight, but I changed to this flight to try the A350. So I hope it will be worth it to try the flagship series from Airbus. I then went to gate 6, which will be our gate for this flight. Not long after, the boarding began, with higher classes and priority members to be boarded first. The boarding process was relatively quick and easy as there are many staff checking our boarding pass and document in the queue line and then marking our boarding pass. So later, the gate staff just simply scan our boarding pass and make the whole process faster and more efficient. Just take a look at this gorgeous wing and the super efficient Rolls-Royce Trent engines. Also, don't forget to take the earphones. Now I'm on board. First, I need to walk past the business class and premium economy sections. Then you will arrive in the economy class with the old seat model. My seat for today is seat 51A in the last section of the plane. Also, I found that this older seat model is much thicker and more comfortable. And this is my seat for today. I choose this seat to get the best view of the A350 winglet. This is my view for this flight. Look at this sleek wingtip. This is one of the best you'll find out there. By the way, you can also store your electronic boarding pass in your wallet app. This is the 11.1-inch touchscreen entertainment. The legroom is generous with the seat pitch of 32 inches. After the boarding process was completed, the crew handed the towel service. Not many airlines do this in economy nowadays, so that's a plus point. Once the door was closed, the safety instruction video began.
Welcome aboard Singapore Airlines. Don't away. Put the back of your seat upright.
And at the same time, the pushback started. The seatbelt sign light then was turned on, and I noticed that there are no individual air vents overhead. The pushback might take some time as we navigate from the terminal's corner. The safety instruction video embedded the Singapore touch with the safety equipment on board.
Into the mouthpiece. Life vest, have a whistle, cover, and slip it over your head.
Once we reached our stop spot, the flaps then were extended for the takeoff position.
Or placed in the seat pocket.
You can see Garuda's 777 being parked on the apron.
Singapore Airlines.
Qatar's A350 and Saudi's 777 were parked in the terminal building. The safety video now has been completed. The plane started taxiing to the runway. While taxiing, the air brakes were tested, as you can notice here. And yes, another Singapore's 777 just landed once our flight was just about to depart. This is going to be a sunset takeoff, and I can't stop admiring the beautiful wingtip design of A350. Our runway 25 ride is not far from Terminal 3. In front of us is Garuda Indonesia's A330 with Kembara Angkasa livery. Once the A330 lifts off, it's our turn for lining up. I noticed that the cabin lights were not dimmed during takeoff. Now I do record the whole takeoff process, so feel free to skip ahead and I'll talk to you soon after takeoff. plane took off on time and we are flying through Jakarta's thick, smoky atmosphere. The flaps then were retracted as we slowly climbed to our cruising altitude. And I gotta say, flying with A350 for the first time is a totally different experience. I can really feel the lightness of the composite material and it makes the flying feel super smooth. Once we reached 10,000 feet, the seatbelt sign light was then switched off and the sun was setting down outside. Now let's explore the entertainment screen, starting with the Inflight Map. There are several views including autoplay, an overall flight preview, and then total flight route, mid-flight 360 view, and a close-up overhead view. Lastly, there's a window seat and cockpit view. Next is the Inflight Wi-Fi. Simply connect to KrisWorld Wi-Fi, and if you're a KrisFlyer member, you'll get 3 hours of free Wi-Fi access per flight. All you need to do is put your surname and seat number. Make sure you insert your KrisFlyer membership in your booking before the flight. And once you're connected, you can access the internet and purchase time extension if needed. While the sun is going down, let's explore the seat features. On the left-hand side, you'll find a coat hanger and 2 USB charging ports with an iPod port. Underneath, you'll find the headphone port. Moving to the center, you'll find the control buttons with access to toggle the personal lighting overhead, cabin crew call button, and the disabled cabin crew button. Moving to the right-hand side, you'll find a cup holder, which I really appreciate on an economy seat. Moving beneath, you'll find the folding table, and it has a small mirror that you can open. You can unfold the table to the fully extended position. Then you can simply fold it to put it right back. Lastly, in your seat pocket, you'll find the in-flight magazine, the Wi-Fi instruction card, a safety information card, and an air sickness bag. On this relatively short flight, you'll get a pillow but no blanket. Now let's explore the in-flight entertainment. You have plenty of selections of movies available, and the touchscreen is very responsive. For today's short flight, I might just want to watch the Lion King movie. Just as I'm about to start watching, the meal service is starting, so just put that on the playlist first. And let's have a quick review of the earphones. Singapore Airlines offers complimentary earphones for you to be able to take home on the next flight. You can simply plug them into the headphone port and you're good to go. It also has marks for left and right buttons. Soon, the cabin crew began their food service, and for short flights under 3.5 hours, Singapore Airlines opted for a small meal box service. It's a good quick meal for an hour flight, but for a 3-hour flight, it might not be that good. For this flight, I choose the braised chicken with stir veggie with yellow rice. We also got banana suji cake, a bread roll, and butter. And Singapore Airlines offers wooden cutlery. I also opted for an apple juice for the beverage. And as usual, you will also get a bottle of water. Overall, I had a really great dinner. However, I still wish it came in a normal meal size. Our flight then started encountering some turbulence, and the seatbelt sign light has been turned on for safety. Then it's time for me to enjoy watching the Lion King movie.
Website. In preparation for arrival, please straighten to your seat. Put your seatbelt upright.
Soon after, we began our descent into Singapore. A small note is that the cabin started to show some aging as the tray table was not so sturdy in place. The sky began to darken as we approached Singapore. The flight attendants then prepared the cabin for arrival, and we were reported to have a cloudy weather in Singapore. Later, the cabin light was then switched off, and we received information from the captain that we were being put into a holding pattern due to busy operations at Changi Airport. I then switched to a night mode recording, but the iPhone camera's quality at night isn't great, even with a bright moon outside. So we spent several turns above the clouds waiting for our turn to be cleared for landing, and then we started our descent and approach into the runway. As you can see, we have to fly through the clouds. Another different thing about A350 is that the window view on the Inflight Map can be selected for the cockpit view or each side, either left side or right side. Now I understand why it's called window view and not cockpit view. One thing I noticed is that mostly when a plane hits a cloud, you can really feel the bump and it's pretty noticeable. However, I don't know why, but flying with A350, it felt so much smoother bump while flying through the clouds. Not long after, we can finally have a visual of Singapore and its iconic view of the ships in the bay. The flaps were then extended as we were lining up with runway 02 left. Now here is the full footage of our approach and landing into Changi Airport. I'll talk to you soon after landing. Welcome to Singapore.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Singapore. And to all Singaporeans and residents of Singapore, a warm welcome home. Please remain seated with your seatbelt fastened until the seatbelt sign is off. Please take all your belongings with you. It's been a pleasure serving you on this flight. Thank you for flying Singapore Airlines, a member of Star Alliance.
We surprisingly landed ahead of time, as the scheduled arrival was supposed to be at 8:55. Overall, it's a great short flight between Jakarta and Singapore. I'm so grateful to finally be able to fly on an A350.
Two doors to this arm, please. Thank you.
Now it's time for Disembark, and I will have quite a long transit for around 4 hours before catching my next flight to Sydney in an A380. Let's take a final shot of my seat for today's flight. It really is a comfortable seat with a generous space pitch. The leather adjustable headrest is also really comfortable. Now let's get off the plane. First, I have to pass through the front economy cabin, and then the small section of the premium economy cabin, and lastly the business class section before the exit door. And here we are at Terminal 3 of Changi Airport. This airport is one of the best airports in the world, so I'll spend some good time while waiting for my next flight. I'll be back again with the second leg of the trip back to Sydney with an A380. See you in another video.